Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, aka Commissioner of the World Movie League. And yeah, we are back for some more World Movie League action. I've got two more matchups today, and it is a Group C matchup. And first of all, we have got X-Men, the original X-Men movie, taking on Doctor Strange. And then we have on match two, we have the original cut of the Justice League movie taking on the very first Iron Man movie. So they are going to be today's matchups. They will be scored as usual for best characters, best high scoring moments, so looking at some of the best scenes in their movies, and also desert island movies. So let's get to it. Let's get to match number one.
So let's take a look at match number one. Released in 2000, the first X-Men movie focuses on a school of mutants turned superheroes guided by Professor X as they take on an evil group of mutants led by Magneto. Some of the cast and characters featured in the movie include Sir Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, aka Professor X, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto. Now let's take a look at the X-Men's opponent. Released in 2016, Doctor Strange tells the origins of Stephen Strange, a top neurosurgeon who suffers injuries in a car crash and then goes on a journey to discover sorcery and the mystic arts to heal his injuries, then becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. The film stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Stephen Strange, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Karl Mordo, and Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius, with a supporting cast of Rachel McAdams, Benedict Wong, and Tilda Swinton.
Movies, pretty movies. It is me, the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, and I am here in the World Movie League to tell you the one true thing that X-Men and Doctor Strange have in common. Here it is. Both movies truly do suck. So, match number one, X-Men versus Doctor Strange. Two movies, first of all, X-Men, still, 2000 release, taking on, it's unreal. The amount of, spin-offs it's had, still to this day, even with the, recently with the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, still having characters like Wolverine still in that universe, still going. It's still, I still think it is a cracking superhero movie, and it's mad to think it's like 20 as a film in this 24 years old. It's crazy. So yeah, great movie. And then we have Doctor Strange, a more recent. Well, I say more recent. It's 2016 now that movie came out. So a movie that explores more of the sort of wizarding world, but that's Harry Potter, isn't it? But that sort of the magic of the MCU, or that sort of era, that sort of world of the MCU, magic and sorcery. And yeah, that one came out, and I thought that was a solid movie, and such a different movie. And I think it's kind of like with the MCU, what it was doing then, it was having like to the Guardians of the Galaxy, going into like the space. Doctor Strange having the sort of more the sorcery magic side, and I think it really worked well. And it was a bit of Doctor Strange is not for the unknowns of going to the cinema, not a character everyone would know. It's not a Spider-Man, but they've really established that character now in the MCU as a really big character. And it's cool to see, with going back to the X-Men movies, now that the X-Men movies are a part of the MCU really. So it's really cool just to see all them worlds together now in the MCU. But let's get to it. Let's get first of all to best characters. I'm going to look at X-Men first of all. We've got Wolverine. I think he's just you could have picked a few. I think like Magneto. I thought Cyclops was pretty cool as well. But I had to go with Wolverine. I think he's just a great character. Really works well in this movie. I think he's fantastic. From that first scene when Rogue finds him and he's in it's like a wrestling ring, like a UFC ring, and he's having a fight, and he's getting beat up at first. He's obviously just letting the guy beat him up, and then next minute you could just hear him punch him in the face, this other guy, and you hear like the metal clang. It's awesome. I think he's just the story of as well, him not knowing his backstory. He can't remember anything from 15 years prior, doesn't know how he got the claws, he can't remember his past, which is a really unique story. And then seeing him kind of like go in and become an X-Men, then sort of you see him clashing with some of them like Cyclops, and I think it really works well in this story. And next up we go to Doctor Strange. I think, the only character I could have really went for in this movie is Doctor Strange. Such a solid character. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, I think, was a really good choice. And I think it's a solid origin story as well. You see this guy who's like this top surgeon, and then he has an accident, he can't use his hands anymore. Normal science doesn't work, so he finds this path to becoming, the Sorcerer Supreme, using magic to cure his injured hands. And he can obviously no longer be this top surgeon guy, but he is now the Sorcerer Supreme. He has the power of magic. And I think it's a really good story. I love that character. Like I said, I think the origin story works really well. And when he is, kind of goes from being, I suppose he's throughout all the movies, he is cocky. He keeps that cockiness to him, but he becomes a bit more of a likable cockiness by the end of it. But which one is my favourite and the best characters, first of all, on this matchup? I've got to go, as much as I love Wolverine, I think Doctor Strange, it's a character I really like a lot more. Something about that character I really enjoy. I think I think the sorcerer, I like magic, I like stuff like Harry Potter, and I think that's why it's kind of like, I suppose X-Men mutants and stuff like that are very similar to what the Wizarding World and stuff. But I think, Doctor Strange is just a cool character. And if we're just looking upon it as one movie, just the first X-Men movie, him against Wolverine here, I'd say Doctor Strange is just a cooler character. I think if you go and watch all the rest of the Wolverine movies, Logan, it's a different comparison there. But we're basing it on these two movies. So Doctor Strange wins the first round here, but we still got some more scoring to do. So first, let's get to best high scoring moments now. So this is talking about, looking at some of the favourite scenes in these movies, and I'm going to go first to X-Men. And there's a scene near the finale of the movie where Storm, played by Halle Berry, she's attacking Toad, and she says, she's coming out and she's levitating, and she's going up to him and she says, do you know what happens to toads when they get hit by lightning? And she says, the same thing that happens to everything else. And her eyes are glowing, like going white, and then the lightning's coming down. And it's such a cool scene. I think it's a wicked scene, that. A great, and that's amongst a lot of fight scenes going on at that particular point in the movie. Going to Doctor Strange, I think the astral battle, when he come out of the body and he's been stabbed, and he's going into this surgery room, and then he's Rachel McAdams, his character, is helping him, trying to help him live, and then he goes into the astral bodies, his astral projection, and then he has a fight scene with this other guy who's also in his astral body, and I thought it was just a really unique scene, because that film is full of some really bizarre, cool looking scenes. The Inception style fights are really wicked, but I thought that was just a really unique idea, and something I've never seen in a movie before, and I really enjoyed it. And it's kind of like, it's like Force Ghost fighting, isn't it? That's basically what it is. It's like they become like a Force Ghost, but while they're still living for a period of time. But I think that's a really good scene. But which one is my favourite? I've got to go with Storm attacking Toad. I think it's a cracking scene. Such a great superhero scene. She looks badass. I think, and be honest, Storm is another cool character in that movie, and this scene really is a scene I gravitate to. I think it's a really cracking scene. So X-Men is winning on that one, so we got one apiece. We go into the final round, and we go to Desert Island movie. X-Men versus Doctor Strange. Which one would I take to a desert island? You're stuck on a desert island. Which movie are you going to watch over and over again? As I said, I think X-Men is a solid movie. I do think if you're looking back now, the action scenes in modern movies are a higher level. I would say that, but I think it's got a lot of character. The characters in general are good as well. It's a good story. I like it, and its legacy as a superhero movie, it can't be taken a shot at, because it's a good movie. And then we have Doctor Strange, again, such a solid film. Again, a different type of MCU movie, different type of superhero movie we've never seen before. A great effort. Which one am I going to take on a desert island? I'm going to watch over and over again. I think I've got to go with Doctor Strange. And it may be controversial, that choice, but I think it is such a cool movie. I love the score, the Giacchino score, like that really like trippy score and the trippy scenes, the character, the world he goes into, and it is just fantastic. I think it's a solid movie. So that is the first winner of match 1, Doctor Strange in this World Movie League matchup. Now let's go to match number 2.
Why is there no good movie choices in this league? Not one Disney classic movie, not one 101 Dalmatians or Jungle Book in here. I am the Mouse Lord and I demand that we have a good movie in this league. I have here a letter from the Commissioner of the World Movie League. He said I can join and give my input officially to the World Movie League on one condition, one technicality. I must be called from this point forward Mouse Cheer, and he would take me in as one of his. So I accept. I will become Mouse Cheer from this point forward, and the World Movie League and Movie Cheer Town will all be mine.
Let's take a look at match number 2. Released in 2017, Justice League The Original Cut focuses on the coming together of the DC Comics super team. Notable members of the cast include Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Henry Cavill as Superman, and Jason Momoa as Aquaman, alongside more DC Comics characters. Now let's take a look at Justice League's opponent. Released in 2008, the debut Iron Man movie tells the origin story of Tony Stark, a billionaire genius inventor who builds a superpowered suit to escape a kidnapping, later becoming the superhero Iron Man in a redeveloped suit. The film stars Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, Terrence Howard as James Rhodey Rhodes, and Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane.
So, match number 2, we have the original cut of the Justice League movie that came out in 2017? Wow. And then we have it up against the 2008 movie Iron Man, the first MCU movie, folks. First of all, Justice League, the original cut, I think it gets a lot of stick, and I don't think it's actually a bad movie. I think the Snyder Cut is better, but it's also a very different movie. It's a longer movie, it's a 4-hour cut. It's a totally different story in my mind, looking at it, and it feels a different movie. And watching this back, I think you've got to take them both as they are. I don't think you can say, look, it's preference, and it's Snyder's style of filmmaking is completely different to Joss Whedon's. So very different movie. And then you got, the Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, such a big movie now, you think it started this MCU, which has been going for such a long period of time now and still has no sort of endpoint in sight. So it's continuing and continuing. And if it weren't really for Iron Man, it's pretty hard to think of it still, being a thing now, as in its current incarnation anyway. So both really different movies, but both movies I can enjoy watching and I can appreciate for what they are. So let's get to it. Best characters, first of all. So I'm going to start off with Justice League, and I've got to go here with Aquaman. I think Arthur Curry, Jason Momoa as Aquaman, such a great choice. Very different from the Aquaman from the comics, from what I've read anyway. But yeah, a solid choice. I think he's just such a badass. He's just, he's over the top. He's like your big flamboyant rock star of the group, the Justice League. Putting this group together, and in a movie that was really rushed, and the characters were thrown in, and it was, they were compared at the time, they were looking at what the Avengers and MCU was doing with the Avengers' success, and they thought, let's have a crack at this. And I think they did rush it, that movie, but I think they rushed this character, but I think they nailed it with this character. I think they actually nailed it with the whole cast, if I'm being honest. Maybe Ezra Miller at times, I think just not so much his acting, I think just the character seems a bit silly. It's there for comedy laughs, but I get it. I think you need that character in there. But Aquaman's a badass. He's just, doing one-liners all the time. He is the rock star of the group. He's awesome. Next we go to Iron Man. And it had to be Tony Stark, Iron Man. His character, this guy, he's this billionaire, very much like a Bruce Wayne of the MCU. Massively rich, he's a super smart guy as well, doing all these tech things, making stuff, and he gets kidnapped, and he builds the first Iron Man suit, and then he builds, he becomes a superhero, the first superhero, we believe at this point anyway. I do like both characters, and it'd be cool to see both characters on screen at some point if they ever done like a DC versus Marvel movie. I'd love to see these. I don't think it would happen now because I think they're probably going to recast Aquaman at some point. But I've got to go with Tony Stark. I just think his origin story, because he goes from being this character, again, his character, similar to Doctor Strange, his character doesn't change, but you can see him become a bit humbler at the end and, a bit more wiser. It feels like he just gets wiser throughout the story, but I think his story is really good, and his acting from Robert Downey Jr. here is superb. So I have to go with Tony Stark for this one. Next, we go to best high-scoring moments of the movies. First of all, Justice League, I think it struggled with scenes that were just spectacular, if I'm being honest. There's a few moments, but not like, they were very brief. So this was hard to choose for Justice League. But I'm going to go with a post-credit scene for this, bit of an unusual one. And it's the Lex Luthor, he escapes prison. And he's on this boat, and you see Wade Wilson, Deathstroke, and Lex Luthor having a meeting on this boat, and then they sort of like saying, well, we better start our own league, and they're obviously alluding to the Legion of Doom, I believe that they're called in the comics. I'm not going to pretend I'm a hardcore comic book fan, I'm not. But I thought it was a really cool scene. Deathstroke looked amazing, and it was, I think, originally planned out for Ben Affleck's Batman movie that he was going to direct before we had the Batman movie, that Deathstroke was going to be the main villain in that. Was it Joe Manganiello? Oh, I've really, I've not done his name justice, have I either? But I think it's a really good scene. I think, is it Jesse Eisenberg, the guy who plays Lex Luthor? I think it was really missed opportunity. I think they should have really used that character again in the Justice League movie. They're obviously going to use that character again in the future, but that's not going to be now because they're recasting it all. I think they got, what's the guy who plays Beast? Nicholas Hoult. He's now playing Lex Luthor moving forward. I actually look like Lex Luthor. I just shaved my head if you're watching this video. I went full on Lex Luthor for this one. But yeah, I think it's a cracking scene. Going to Iron Man. I think my favourite scene for Iron Man has got to be, there was a few, I was thinking the end scene where he says, I am Iron Man. That's a cracking scene, but I had to go with the escape. When he's in the prison in this foreign country, and he's in like the desert, and he's in this cave, and he builds the first Iron Man suit. It's this big Ironmonger suit, massive, and that escape scene when he charges on straight away, and then he just does the escape, he flies away. It's an epic scene. The suit looks awesome. It looks like a lot of it looks like practical rather than CGI. I may be wrong. If it is CGI, some of it looks amazing. But I think it looks really cool. It's a great scene, just explosions going on, shooting. It's an all-out action scene, and one of them scenes where it just makes me think, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I like in a movie. So for me, again, I've got to go with Iron Man. Iron Man, the escape scene over that Justice League scene. It's got more action, more, 10 out of 10 high scoring moments. What you want to see in a movie, in a superhero blockbuster movie. It's got it all in that scene. It's superb, and it's early on in the movie as well. There's more in the movie, but that is just an outstanding scene. So, Iron Man has won this matchup, but we've got to do it. We've got to go to Desert Island movies. Justice League versus Iron Man. I this is an easy choice for me. As, like, again, I'm not taking shots at Justice League, but Iron Man is one of my favourite superhero movies. I could watch that over and over again, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a movie I can enjoy. It's a cracking origin story for Tony Stark and Iron Man. It's a great origin story for the MCU as well, for building that MCU up. A great debut of the MCU. I love it. So yeah, Desert Island movie, it's got to be Iron Man for me. So let's have a quick roundup of those results, folks. So we have, first of all, match one. We have winning that one, Doctor Strange. And then, obviously, matchup number two, we have the winner, Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie. Doctor Strange and Iron Man, I think, two solid picks going forward in this competition. I think they're great movies. I think they are great examples of, 10 out of 10 MCU movies. I think when Marvel are doing the MCU right, these are two examples of what they can produce in good filmmaking. I think they're fantastic. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, folks. If you enjoyed this episode of the World Movie League today, please do leave your thoughts below. Give it a like, subscribe, comment below on your thoughts. Give me your input. What would be your choices as well? I'm eager to learn. I'm eager to know your choices and what you think shouldn't have went through and should have went through. We're going to have more of these videos, more episodes. It has been a bit of a long break since the last episode. I'm eager to do more of these now moving forward and to finish the story of the World Movie League as well. The first season anyway. We got to get there. We can't just leave it. It's guy can't leave on a cliffhanger. He's got to finish. We got to finish like Cody Rhodes. We've got to finish the story, folks. So that's it for me. If you enjoyed this video, as I said, please leave all your comments and everything below. I've done all this already. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of mood cheer. As always, I will see you next time.